Let's say, for the sake of possibly ruining a perfectly natural wonder, that someone decides to fill the entire Grand Canyon with soda. Not just a little soda, all of it. Pepsi, Coke, Sprite, Dr. Pepper. It doesn't matter. It's a bubbly, sugary ocean in the middle of Arizona. But before we get into the consequences of this delicious disaster, let's break down just how much soda we're talking about. The Grand Canyon is enormous, about 446 kilometers long, up to 29 kilometers wide, and over 1.8 kilometers deep in some places. Its total volume is estimated to be roughly 4.17 trillion cubic meters. That's 4.17 trillion metric tons of soda. For reference, the entire global production of soda is only about 200 billion liters per year. At that rate, you'd need to keep all the world's soda factories running non-stop for over 20,000 years to fill the Grand Canyon just once, and that's assuming no one drinks any of it. Now, let's assume a billionaire with a questionable sense of priorities finds a way to speed this up, maybe by inventing a soda multiplier device or harnessing alien technology. Within weeks, the Grand Canyon becomes the world's largest beverage container. So, what happens next? First, carbonation. Soda gets its fizz from dissolved carbon dioxide gas, which is trapped under pressure. But once you expose it to open air, that CO2 starts escaping fast. With trillions of tons of soda exposed to the Arizona sun, the fizz would rapidly disappear, releasing an unimaginable amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. The result? A literal cloud of soda gas, bubbling up from the canyon floor and drifting across the southwest like some sticky, sweet-smelling horror. For people nearby, this wouldn't be deadly, but it would be bizarre. Breathing air with a high concentration of CO2 can cause dizziness and headaches, but it would take a lot more than soda gas to suffocate a city. Still, the smell alone, billions of liters of orange, cola, and root beer mixing in the heat might make Flagstaff declare a state of emergency. Now, let's talk about the wildlife. Arizona is home to countless animals, many of which rely on the Grand Canyon ecosystem to survive. If you flood that entire system with acidic sugar water, you basically commit mass ecological sabotage. The low pH of soda, around 2.5 to 3.5, is about the same as vinegar, and it's toxic to most aquatic life. Any fish, insects, or amphibians unlucky enough to get caught in the sugary tide would quickly perish. Birds flying over the canyon would suddenly find themselves diving into sticky death traps. Even larger animals might suffer if they tried to drink from what used to be the Colorado River and is now basically a giant coke stream. And speaking of rivers, the Colorado River doesn't just end in the Grand Canyon, it keeps flowing, providing water for more than 40 million people in the southwestern United States. You know what doesn't make a good water source? Soda. Even if only a portion of it made it out of the canyon, the syrupy overflow would destroy water treatment plants, clog irrigation systems, and turn fields of crops into sticky wastelands. California would sue, Nevada would sue, probably Mexico too. Basically, it would become an international incident fueled by cola. Now, let's say you could contain it. Build a dam, block the canyon off, treat it like the world's worst swimming pool. What then? Well, soda is heavy, about 1.05 kilograms per liter, slightly more than water. All that weight sitting in the Grand Canyon would place an unbelievable amount of pressure on the canyon walls. It might trigger landslides or even minor seismic activity. And if the dam holding it ever broke, a soda tsunami. Arizona's first carbonated natural disaster. Also, sugar. So much sugar. As the soda sits there in the heat, it begins to break down. Bacteria love sugar, and they would multiply at absurd rates. You'd get massive algal blooms, bacterial colonies, and strange chemical reactions. Within months, the soda sea would transform into a dark, fermenting, foul-smelling sludge. The surface would form crusty layers. Gases like methane and hydrogen sulfide would start bubbling up, creating the world's largest and most repulsive chemistry experiment. By this point, tourists are no longer welcome. Instead of snapping pictures of geological beauty, they're greeted with signs reading, "Caution, toxic foam." Eventually, nature would try to take the canyon back. Rains would dilute the soda, sediment would settle, and plants might begin to grow along the edges. But that would take centuries. Until then, the Grand Canyon would no longer be a symbol of natural majesty. It would be a bubbling wound in the earth, brown, sticky, and somehow still buzzing with wasps. In conclusion, filling the Grand Canyon with soda is not just logistically impossible, but also monumentally dumb. It would waste trillions of dollars, wreck entire ecosystems, poison water supplies, and probably summon some kind of ancient sugar god in protest. So if you ever find yourself with unlimited soda and no self-control, maybe just stick to opening a soda museum or a vending machine empire. Anything but this, unless you really want to make Arizona smell like root beer for the next 1,000 years.